Everyone, welcome back to Captain Logan Show. It is I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my son Jason. He's going to moderate your chat this evening and co-host with me, so if you have any question on any subject within reason, you want to aim it at this guy.
Hey.
And you can leave a super chat at any dollar amount. That guarantees that we'll talk about whatever you'd like us to talk about. Try to keep it geeky if you can, but we'll talk about relatively anything, again, within reason. You can also, and that helps keep things running here on Geekvolution. We appreciate all the support that we get that way, but don't feel like you have to do that. We appreciate you just being here. And we'll do some regular pre-written stuff as well, so you can leave a question in the chat without a super chat. Make sure that, again, aim it at Jason at Video Game Secrets, at Jason at Gambit Lover 1993. Jason will answer to any of these things and more. I want to see one of those in there. I hope Gambit Lover 1993 comes up.
That will never be my username.
It would have been until Dad said it.
No.
But anyway, welcome everybody. We really appreciate you being here. The last show we did on the channel was another Captain Logan show. I hate having them bunched up like that, you know, like last week we ended up with two installments, the last two installments of the top 100 favorite superhero movies streams were right next to each other because I ended up having to skip another show and I didn't have anything in between. I hate it when they bunch up like that. I've been out of commission for the last week, so the last time I broadcasted was on Wednesday. Jason had a dance competition over the weekend, and so I let everybody know I was going to be out of pocket at the end of last week, and we get back to normal things this week. And then I got a really bad throat infection. It was terrible. I had a bacterial thing. I've never had that before. It was in one side of my throat. It was just throbbing for days. It was awful. And I finally went to a doctor, got medicine for that on Sunday, and I'm feeling more or less 100% now. I'm still having to take antibiotics for that, but I think I'm smooth sailing. I haven't tried to talk for 2 straight hours since that happened, so we'll see what this is like.
At the end of this, you'll be like, AI.
But it's like, I can use AI to do my job right now.
I am Captain Logan.
We'll see how I am by the end of the program, by the second hour. But anyway, I'm feeling pretty good right now, and I'm really glad to see everybody. We're going to have, for the rest of the week, a pretty normal week. Tomorrow night, Austin and I are going to have a request on some select episodes of a one-season Fantastic Four series, which I think is called Earth's Greatest Heroes. Fantastic Four is Earth's greatest hero. I think it was like an early 2000s show, with kind of funky animation, but it's I've seen a couple episodes of that and it's interesting.
Fantastic Four.
And then Avengers, of course, was Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah.
Which is like their normal moniker, but was also a TV show.
Which was their last
later on.
Which was the last show set in the Marvel animated universe.
What, Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
Yeah, before X-Men 97.
I don't even think it was in that universe.
That's what I heard.
No,
that's what I thought.
Pretty sure that's its own thing. And I mean, it's got an Iron Man that is trying to sound like Downey, and I'm pretty sure that show is its own thing. I think you're thinking of a different show.
Oh, when is that?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 2010s show.
2010 show, then no.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. There is an Avengers show, which is a really weird, funky show. I'm using that word a lot tonight, but that's funky in a bad way. That's not a good show. But I don't remember what that's called right off the top of my head.
Avengers Funk Symbol.
Anyway, so usually we do a Patreon question to open the show. I had not gotten this is my fault. I had not gotten the prompt out for this month yet. I just spaced it. So I just put that out. I'll check and see if one happens to come in during the show, and maybe we'll get to one. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys pick a cool opening question or topic, and if we don't get one, we'll just jump right into the lead-in topic for tonight.
United They Stand.
That's what it was. United They Stand. But anyway, if anybody in the comments right now has a cool idea for an opening quick topic, like a regular Patreon topic, throw it in. Jason, have we gotten any questions yet? Are you seeing anything worth talking about?
Nope.
From the beginning of the show? Okay. Well, this worked out great. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and just do the lead-in topic, and then if somebody has a good topic after this, we'll go ahead and tackle that. And then, as always, we'll do anything you guys want to talk about in the second hour. I'm seeing a lot of opinions already about tonight's topic. I want to open this by showing you guys a YouTube short. This was what kind of spawned this topic for me, and this is kind of old news. I realize this is not spurred on by anything that happened this week in the media or anything, but it was actually around this time last year, I think, and I missed it. I didn't, like, I had heard that there was some controversy, particularly with DC, about AI art. I didn't know any of the details. I don't think I saw any of the specific images, and I didn't realize that one of the artists that was being accused of this was Andrea Sorrentino, who is an artist I love, who did some really great work with Green Arrow and with... I'm trying to remember because I'm just rusty. Was it maybe... I guess at Marvel, the Old Man Logan run and like ongoing, and maybe he did Black Widow, I forget, Hawkeye. He was on. So anyway, he had some really odd looking art that was presumed AI generated, partly because it didn't look like anything he usually did outside of covers, and partly because I might be saying too much of what's already in the short. Or what's in the short. I can't remember. And partly because there seemed to be some weird extra lines and stuff that just didn't fit, and odd design things. So let's look at this short, and then I've also got an article going a little bit deeper into this that we can look at some. And I just wanted to have kind of a discussion about and revisit this, because we've talked about this in the past, but it's becoming more of an issue now, as we all knew it would. I want to talk about whether AI really has a place in comic art at all, if it's fair to charge people money for art that is partly or entirely generated in a computer, what the rights, like how the rights issue should even be handled, because AI is grabbing from everywhere under the sun and stealing from a lot of like pre-existing art. So like, can you even parse that out? Does that make any sense? And what can even be done about it as it gets more sophisticated and more difficult to tell when something is AI generated? So let's go ahead and take a look at this short. This is from a channel called Dan Exclaims, and I don't know if this is, I haven't looked into this channel. I don't know if this guy is mostly just comics or pop culture in general, or if he's an art guy or what. But here is his short, and let's take a look. Hopefully my audio is good here.
So, the newest controversy flooding the comic book industry right now is whether or not the art that you're seeing on screen is AI generated. There was a huge Twitter thread regarding this incident, and the main accusation was that the artist, Andrea Sorrentino, used AI for certain parts of the newest Batman chapter. The evidence laid out is kinda damning too. You've got the Joker's hands looking deformed, his anatomy being seriously off, and it seems like my man is straight up missing a nipple. I mean, come on, this panel literally looks like an AI prompt. Ripped abs and skinny jeans on the Joker? Come on. And what I find wild is one of the accusations in the thread is that none of his work on Batman resembles the art that we've seen. The only time we've ever seen him produce something like that is on his Instagram, and some past works for Marvel, never for Batman. So when I first saw this art, my first instinct was, did they just AI Ben Affleck's Batman? And little did I know I was not in the minority in thinking that. So I think the best thing DC can do right now is get ahead of this rumor, because as somebody who's been accused of creating AI generated content, the best thing you can do is show your hand. And if DC ignores this accusation, I think it sets a bad precedent. So, the newest controversy flooding the comic book industry.
I think I actually saw that.
Oh,
like when it came out.
You seen that short?
Yeah.
That's funny. So, Jason, what's your immediate reaction to that? And I forgot to mute my mic when we were looking at that, so hopefully it wasn't too echoey for you guys. But what are your initial thoughts on that, Jason?
I think it's... Here's the thing. I just don't think AI is ready for art yet. I don't think AI art looks good yet. And I don't think people should be getting paid for doing that. I think that's just lazy. I think, you know, AI art is an okay idea. Maybe if, you know, obviously, like, I use AI for lots of things. Not for art, but I never use, and I also never use AI to just do something.
And then call it your own, like you put in an AI prompt, and it creates a thing, and then you say, look, I did that.
Yeah,
like, this is a
that.
piece of art that I created for whole cloth from my own brain. And I think even if you say, like, look, I'm the creator of this AI thing, I don't think that's the same thing as producing a piece of art.
And also, I think it's also different than ghostwriting because no one's doing it.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, should we even consider this art at this point? And I mean, all of these points have been made elsewhere, but this is a good baseline to get this conversation started with. The scary thing for me is you're having a computer just pull from, like I said earlier, a bunch of like real artistic works that other people have made, slap that together, and you're putting it in the same category as work that is self-expression and that people put their heart and soul into and kill themselves over, and maybe work like make despite not getting an income or getting very much of an income, etc. And my worry is we eventually settle for that where we don't even care that there's not a human being behind it.
Yeah, and I just don't think AI art is good enough for that yet. I don't think...
And then maybe that's like another conversation, is once it is good enough, I still kind of don't like it. Like,
right.
And it's almost two different... I almost have like two different brains about it, where it's like, on the one hand, if I can't tell what's the problem, where it's like, well, I'm enjoying this, I'm getting something out of it, I like impressively, again, we're not there yet most of the time, but like, if I can't tell the difference and I'm really getting something out of it, why does it matter to me? But then I'm looking at the long term, and I'm looking at the forest for the trees, and I'm going, I don't want to live in that world.
Yeah, and it
does matter to me that there's a person behind it. Like, once I find out there's not, then it's a problem, right? And then going the other way, you know, you're taking jobs away from people,
And AI will.
you've got computers competing with human beings, and the precedent for all of this is just like obviously, for lack of a better word, like problematic. I mean, it's just scary.
Yeah. And AI will never be as creative as humans. Like,
And at the point that it is, we should turn it off.
yeah.
Because that's scary. That's the Terminator thing.
Right. And also, like, for anything I use AI for, I don't use it for the whole thing. I use it for the things that I physically cannot do.
Yeah.
But I can't. I'm never gonna just use AI to do it for me, because that just comes off as lazy.
I think it can be
and
fun
not creative.
to do that as a joke sometimes and that sort of thing. I think it depends on how you're passing it off and what the point of it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like whether you should be able to monetize it is a whole other animal, and
Yeah.
that's a difficult conversation. And again, the rights of it and whether or not it even counts as yours just because you had the idea and then fed it into a computer and then it came out. I also want to talk about the idea of AI as a tool, the way you're describing it. And a few people earlier before we started brought this idea up, and I'll have you read some comments here in a little bit. We can respond to them. There were a number of differing opinions about this, Jason. So if you kind of bring some of those up as we go. But one person said, I'm not looking at it right now, so sorry for maybe Jason will find it and can tell us who the author of this comment was. But one person was like, well, what's the big deal? It's just a tool.
Yeah, that was Braden Atkinson.
Braden Atkinson. And the way, Jason, you're describing it, and you've used it more specifically for music, yes?
Yeah, more for music producing, yeah.
The difference between, and I think he brought up the idea, and it sounded like he was being kind of devil's advocate about it, but I think he brought up the idea of, or he was comparing it to like Photoshop tools.
Yeah.
The difference is, and I was thinking about that today too, where I was going, let's look at this back specifically with comics, and I want to talk about what this does for the comic industry and, you know, charging for it and all of that. But I do think there's because I was thinking about, like, well, what if you use a computer program, use an app to make your color work easier, so you're not physically like putting paint to paper anymore. To obviously some people still do that, but I'm just saying when you use a computer, and we've considered this valid for a long time. You know, we don't throw any shade at people for being lazy when they're using a paintbrush tool in a comic book, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference? Like, why is it okay to go, well, it takes too long to fill it all in myself, I'm gonna click one button and now it's purple? And I think the difference is you picked the hue. You decided how much of it was going to be that color. You filled in all of these different sections with different colors. You didn't, and there is that question of where do we draw the line? But you didn't say to a computer, I want to see Batman riding on a horse down the freeway.
Yeah.
I think there's a giant difference between I clicked a button and I made this guy's face purple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's different than it did all of that work for me. And I don't even really, and like, I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not an artist. I don't really understand the idea of AI enhanced art. I don't even know if we're doing that. Like, the way AI art seems to work is you feed it a prompt and then it makes a thing for you. And like, yeah, you can take that and doctor it maybe. It's weird that some of the art that guy was showing didn't even do that, where it's like,
yeah, it looked like it was just feeding it into ChatGPT.
Can you not find a way to, well, not ChatGPT, but one of those art programs that, because ChatGPT is just text, right?
ChatGPT does.
Oh, does
images,
it do images
or
too?
it
Okay.
uses whatever the image thing is.
But like, couldn't you go into it and like then feed that into Photoshop, erase some sections, go, oh, he shouldn't have 6 fingers. If he's missing a shirt, he probably should have a nipple. It's a little odd to see Joker wearing like tight hot pants. Maybe we'll take that out and put him in something different.
Yeah.
So there is a gigantic difference, and maybe the argument could even be made that I would make this argument that we were already going too far with digital art in the first place, but I think it's still clearly somebody's vision. I mean, that's where it really matters to me.
Yeah.
Is that I'm looking at a human being that had an idea and it wasn't interpreted crudely by a computer. Now, at the point that the computer can get a lot closer when we put in a bunch of our own details to make what we had in our brains, does that count? Is that okay? Like at the point where I can write 5,000 words that tells you exactly what I want that panel to look like, and you give me almost exactly what's in my head, but only I am going to know how close you got.
Right.
I still feel weird about that. Like, and beyond all of that, just me personally, I don't want to pay for it.
And that person can't be, especially since if you, because, you bring up a good point, or at least something that made me think of a good point. If those people are doing it, why can't you do it yourself?
Yeah, and I'm an artist, and then I can claim to be an artist.
Right, and that's another thing is now these people aren't artists. They're kind of also writers.
Yeah. Well, that's a terrific point, yeah.
Like, that, they can't be credited as the artist at that point. They just had the idea.
And then we get into the, like, progress versus, what am I trying to say, like, economy question, or progress versus, like, being able to make a living. It's not always a reasonable argument to me to say this new technological development will put X number of people out of business, so we shouldn't allow it, or we should curb the technology. The technology should not exist because a certain number of people won't work anymore. I think that's very, very case by case. You look at the industry that my wife is in. My wife is in architecture, and about 15 years ago, CAD started going. That was one of the main pieces of software that you would use to design buildings. CAD started to go the way of the dinosaurs, and Revit took over, and my wife became Revit certified real early, and so she was able to get work while some other people were being pushed out, and because they weren't learning the new program. Now, does that mean that Revit shouldn't exist? It's a better, in a lot of ways, it's a better program. You can 3D render things. It's more efficient. It cuts a lot of things, down time-wise. No, people have to kind of catch up and get with the times. But at the point where everything becomes automated and you're replacing whole sections of people, but then you go, well, but wait, Cap, that's what the Industrial Revolution was. I mean, like, should we not have had should we not have had factories? Should we not have had automation in factories? There are a lot of people that were dying in early factories that weren't once we got the better machinery in, and that sort of thing. So I mean, it's a really, really, really complicated topic.
We're not dying.
Yeah.
And I feel like before AI really got, during COVID, when it really got better, I feel like that's when, like, I don't really remember exactly the point that I was going to end this.
You're
with,
right.
But I feel like we were doing just fine before that.
This is one of those things that feels like a bridge too far, and you had lots of classic science fiction that predicted some of these things and said, of course, by the 50s and 60s, the big mantra was be careful about over-reliance on technology. And we as a society, A, have completely ignored those warnings, and B, we cannot decide how far is too far. And we are Jurassic Park. We do things because we can, and we don't think about whether or not we should. Certainly. And so it's a really deeply complicated question. I am sure there is a place for it as a tool, but at the point where it's doing the creating, I just think it's a bridge too far. And it's certainly a bridge too far for me, the consumer, where I already think single issue comics are too expensive, and I've mentioned this a lot of times before, but like that became a bridge too far for me, and so I don't regularly buy comics anymore. It doesn't help that I don't like a lot of what's coming out either, but even with some of the independent companies lately making things that I am intrigued by, I'm more likely to wait until I can read issues with a subscription service or something than actually physically buy issues, because even with somebody's really hard, grueling work where they spent maybe 10 to 12 hours a day putting together their sequential art, $5 an issue is just too big of a pill to swallow for me to actually own the thing. They're not going to drop that price because a computer is not doing that artwork. And one of the things that's fun about comics is knowing that somebody had to draw all of that, especially as somebody that is not an artist. It's very impressive to me to look at that and go, how did somebody do that? And even in digital artwork, I still have that. It's not like it has to be done with a pencil for me to be impressed with it. Somebody still had to figure out how to get those shapes to look like those objects and people, and they still have to understand foreshortening, and they still have to understand perspective, and all of that stuff takes immense amounts of skill. The other side of it is comic artists are being paid so little now, and there's so little money in the industry that I don't condone it, but I get why it's happening. They're cutting corners so they can get their stuff in on time, and they're not seeing it as, and I'm saying whoever is actually doing this. I don't want to be I don't want to accuse anybody specifically. That Sorrentino art they showed certainly looked like it was AI generated. I guess I'm gonna say alleged, and I hate that with Sorrentino because I love that guy's work. And it hurts my feelings if he did that. And at the same time, again, I'm not condoning it, but I also kind of get, see, it's going to sound like I'm condoning it. I'm not. But I get the attitude of, well, they're just not paying me enough to do this. But then the right thing to do is to go find something else to do, I think.
But also, you don't know if he did that. Like, is he the one who had the idea to
that's the question.
Do an AI page.
So that's the other question, and I haven't looked super deep into this, and I don't know if any more information has come out about this since then, but with what little I looked at, it didn't look like there had been a lot of resolution to this. If anybody knows more than I do, leave a comment. I wasn't using this as like a news reporting segment so much as just an example to get the ball rolling on this conversation. We're treating this more like a GNN, I guess. But, so congratulations, Jason, you can do a GNN. But, it seems to me that it could go either way. Because the DC, of course, put out a statement back then and said, like, the company line is, we don't ever use AI-generated art. And, of course, they're going to say that. There's lots of shady stuff in the histories of both DC and Marvel with editorial making writers and artists do things they didn't want to do. And so the question is that on editorial, or was it Sorrentino sneaking it past editorial? I don't see how anybody could look at that art and not raise an eyebrow. And I don't see how DC wouldn't come back to him and go, this kind of looks like... You know, sort of like you're in high school and you're plagiarizing a paper. Kind of doesn't look like you did this.
Yeah.
would it be different if the company came out on the covers or inside somewhere and went, yes, we're using some AI generated art? Like, I wouldn't like it, but at least they'd be transparent with everybody. At least it'd be above board.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, and it's not right, and it's not fair to the consumer either direction, whether it's the company or the artist or both in cahoots. Like it's not right. But it is interesting that there are multiple examples of this at DC, and I've not heard about it really from Marvel. Now again, I've not looked real deep into this. Maybe it's also happening there. But the big controversy from almost a year ago was, we should have talked about it back then, and I just didn't realize how complex it was. But maybe it was happening there also.
Yeah, we had a $2 super chat from Senior Sticks. AI Marvel is at least 20 years away as AI has gaps.
AI Marvel.
AI Marvel.
What does that mean?
Marvel using AI.
Oh. Help me out. I don't understand what he's saying.
He's saying it's at least 20 years away from using AI because AI has gaps.
Is that a reference to Ultron or something?
No, I don't know.
I'm not really sure what he means by that, but anyway, well, thanks for the super chat. Oh look, it's a gong. Austin brought this up, and Austin, I had seen this in this article and some other places as well. I used this as the thumbnail, and you saw it in that short. This is also from that Batman comic that Sorrentino did. And you see Batman kissing a character that is supposed to be Catwoman, but looks suspiciously like Black Cat. And that's another thing that makes it look very AI generated, and it kind of does anyway. But like, that's not a Catwoman mask. It's white hair like Black Cat, and if you tell an AI, show me Batman kissing Catwoman, there's every possibility that it will get confused and give you Black Cat or give you some combination of the both of them. So then what you end up with is you put yourself in a situation where not only did the artist not actually render the work himself, but now you've got a copyright infringement situation on your hands because you're publishing something, because the computer doesn't know the difference. The computer's not interested in U.S. copyright law. So now you've got the possibility of getting sued by the other company because you published a thing that a computer threw in from your company while it's stealing from various people with an algorithm.
I think Marvel should sue.
They should know better than actually putting that out.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's that explicitly Black Cat that
Yeah.
they could get away with suing?
Yeah. Okay, great. Say close enough.
Yeah. And they just stamp it and print it and throw it out, and
Yeah.
then again I go back to Jurassic Park and we're selling it.
Yeah.
We're selling it.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, it doesn't really look like comic art. Like, it looks like a weird, like, painting.
So I hear what you're saying. It looks like comic art if someone actually fully painted it.
Yeah.
But digital art made to look like a painting is rarer in comics. I mean, I guess we get that. But usually if you're going to do something... Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I was going to say, usually if you're going to do something yourself inside of a computer, it's not going to look like you tried to paint it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's a style you could do. But that's another thing that just makes it look suspiciously like AI-generated art. Jason, can we get some opinions about this?
Yeah, from the comics.
Yes, from the comments.
The comments, not the comics.
Yes. What do the comics think? Austin says it looks like a Snapchat filter. Well, and then, sorry, let me say this real quick too, because then where it gets kind of complicated for me too is I feel like artists then have to be really careful not to go into styles that remind anybody of AI at all. Mm-hmm. And as the AI gets, I think right now it's easier to avoid, and it's a little clearer, where it's like maybe 5 years ago you'd been, that looks kind of cool, and then you get used to seeing it in AI and you go, well, that just looks fake now.
Yeah.
I think our brains have all been altered now with this, where we're sniffing it out. What if in 5 years or less, because it could be less, I the the AI generated art gets so sophisticated, and this could happen with text too, that it's harder to tell, and maybe there are more styles, maybe there's more variations on styles, blends of styles, and then more and more we're trying to avoid it until you get to the point where either everything looks like AI generated art or nothing does.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get some comments on this topic.
Yeah. We have Hot Soup. If you use it as a tool to ease the workload, that's okay, I guess. But using AI as the whole process, absolutely not.
Yeah, and again, I don't really get how it's a thing you can integrate into a vision. I feel like at the point where you say, hey, ChatGTP, I want the Hulk beating up Spider-Man standing on top of a helicopter, and it interprets that, okay, your idea was Spider-Man, the Hulk, and a helicopter, but everything it does after that, I mean, maybe you can get more detailed, but by and large, everything else that happens after that is out of your hands and isn't really your creative idea. So you can maybe erase some things and doctor it and change it to some degree, but it
then just
bothers me how little of it is yours. Like, it's fully colored, you didn't ink it. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it's all just a bridge too far.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that statement more if, this sounds awful, if nobody paid for comic art.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of the issue is, if I'm gonna actually own it, I want it to be a human being's work that I can like proudly display somewhere or show it to someone and go, look at this really neat artwork. It does matter to me if it was done on a computer, and it just does. Like, if I show that to somebody and they go, this is the future I don't want to live in, and we're not gonna be able to put the genie back in the bottle. Everybody knows it. So in the future, I might show someone my favorite piece of comic art that's made, in 2024 and beyond, and a person says, and the person I show it to goes, that's really pretty. Did a person make it?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's still people reading the comics, not AI. So, like, AI can't be it's still like we're the ones reading the comics, and so like we should be the ones like congratulating each other on making this cool art.
And then what's the standard? I mean, if you don't like what the computer made, you just feed it different text, I guess. And the thing is, sorry, the idea of just using it as a tool, again, at least you're coming up with the initial concept, but you know what's going to happen. And we've talked about this with movies too. Eventually, AI is going to do all of it. And as long as people don't notice or they don't care and they still pay for things, the industry, whatever industry we're talking about, comics, movies, television, video games, it's not going to matter. Because it's a business before it's art. And it's always going to be that way. And there's nothing any of us can do about that. I've always said I love a good, happy marriage between the two. Art can and should be a business. People should be paid for the things that they make, if there's a demand for it, and if people are willing to pay for it. Of course, certainly. And you already have the problem of corporate ownership and people not being paid what they're worth and all of that. That's a whole other conversation. But what I'm trying to say is, it's scary to me to think of a future where none of this is about self-expression, where if you can pass it off, and again, at some point people won't even care, but if you can pass it off as being like what we used to make, where it feels enough like people made it, and it's entertaining, then what will happen is the people consuming it won't care because they'll go, well, I like this. And the people selling it won't care because they're being paid for it. And the culture suffers in the interim. I'm sorry, it just does. And when you already have, and I will not get political and get too soapboxy with this next statement, but I feel like I have to get this in there because it's connected, it's related, and it matters. We're living in a world that is increasingly, or at least a country, I guess, that is increasingly more anti-critical thinking, and you've got people growing up now that are not interested in learning or using their own brains or knowing how to read even. And they're going to be told what to consume and that they should like whatever they're being force fed, and by computers. I mean, like, yeah, like you're living in a dystopia at the point that happens. I'm sorry, and I don't care if it's fun or if you're enjoying it or what. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the short term, it might seem completely harmless. In the long term, that crushes your society. Like you're done after that.
Yeah.
This concludes my sermon about anti-intellectualism, but I just, this is a lot scarier now when I'm seeing that happen and all the horror stories I'm hearing about public education and stuff. Like that freaks me out. If this was happening when I was a kid, it would have seemed a little bit less scary, I think.
Yeah.
And then it would have ended up being just as scary ultimately. But
well, and do you think people would have taken it as much as they might?
No, there would have been a lot more pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. What other takes do people have? And by the way, throw out questions, folks, about anything else, because when we're finished with this topic, we will take a kind of backwards Patreon topic if one comes up.
Robert Wild, I can't see there being any valid justification for AI art in comics under any circumstances. We've got to draw a line in the sand somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it could maybe be more nuanced than that. But that's always been my knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, we should know when it's being used. What else do you see, Jason?
Senior Stick says AI Captain Logan would only be half as entertaining.
We should experiment with that, though. We should make an AI Captain Logan, and it'd be really funny if you could. I don't think the technology is there yet. If we could get like an interactive computer Captain Logan and have him try to run a show.
Yeah.
And just see what happens. That sounds funny to me. I can already feel my throat tightening up. Hopefully I can make it through that. Samuel Rockman, is that different to the past? I mean, before the internet, people just consumed the information of like 7 channels.
But they were made by people.
Yeah, that's the difference.
And those channels were not like rotting your brain as much.
At least not as much. It didn't seem as propaganda laden, and it wasn't as, again, what I'm calling anti-intellectual.
Yeah. And
also, when you were looking at news, a lot more of it was like less opinion based, and it was just, here's the facts, here's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, etc. And I think you had a better situation with education where people could think, where more people were thinking for themselves. Not everybody's going to agree with me. That's okay, but that is the world that I am seeing, that I think we're living in, and I know I'm not alone in that. Austin Sorrentino has apparently done tracing in the past. I can understand why a tracer could make the leap to AI, even if I don't agree. Austin, I'm glad you brought up tracing, because that was the thing I was going to talk about too, is I've always been a little bit on the fence about that, where somehow the tracing thing has never bothered me as much as it does some other people, although it's another thing where I kind of wish people were more transparent about it, because passing off your work as 100% yours and then finding out that you traced over something is dishonest. But hear me out. I do think there's a big difference. It doesn't bother me as much when I hear about tracing over real photography, which is also technically somebody else's art, I guess. But I think it's different than here's a pencil drawing and you just verbatim go around like exactly those lines and then you put a different costume on it and that kind of thing. But the example I always bring up is Greg Land, who's not a great artist anyway, and does and is infamous for tracing pornography. And
oh, is that?
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
well, he would do that because you've got you've got nude photography, and then you could just put an outfit on top of it, and like comic characters are basically traditionally kind of like the nude Greek gods, and then you just that are basically like painted in their costumes, and so you can see why he does that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird. I always thought it was cutting corners, but it's not the same thing as this. I don't love it either. But yeah, I didn't know that or I'd forgotten if that's. Maybe I knew that at one time, Austin. I can't remember that Sorrentino was a tracer. That does make more sense because that was if that's true, because that's the thing I was going to bring up earlier. Is I could certainly see Greg Land doing this.
Alex Barron, I will never consume art or media that was created entirely by AI. However, I'm not sure if general audiences care, which scares me.
I'm sorry, I was reading a comic. Can you read that one more time for me?
You were reading a comic?
Yes, I was reading a comic.
I will never...
It was
it an
delightful,
AI
but I just
comic?
can't tell who drew it.
Yeah. Did a human draw it?
Yeah, maybe.
Alex Barron, I will never consume art or media that was created entirely by AI. However, I'm not sure if general audiences care, which scares me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, too.
And he says, as an aspiring filmmaker, the whole AI discussion is very depressing.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know, it's just different when you're competing with not just automation, but competing with automation or computers or however you like it in a creative field. Where, like, it's tough when you're fighting what could arguably considered actual progress, where the computer makes it more efficient, where it actually does the job better than a human being can do. That's not what's happening with this.
Mm-hmm.
And at the point that it is, we've gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't want that. Because you're not improving. There's nothing about that improves the human being, that improves the human experience. That's what's really scary about it for me. Austin says, from my understanding, artists using AI also touch up the art after AI creates it. That's where it becomes blurry. And that's what I was saying is, I still feel like the AI is doing too much of the work, though.
Especially, but here it doesn't look like they did
it was
anything.
even touched up at all.
Yeah.
Because you can see all the spots where it should be.
It didn't even look like they looked at it. Like, it looked like they just put it there.
And
like, they just told the AI what to do, and they didn't even check if it was Catwoman or Black Cat.
We should pull up those issues at some point, do
Yeah.
a follow-up to this, and actually maybe read them. I've been talking about doing some, like, dramatic readings of new comic issues from Marvel and DC on the channel. Like, not just reviews, but actually doing kind of a like reaction stream where we all look at it for the first time together, and I read the dialogue out loud. And there seemed to be a lot of interest in that. I was worried that might be boring for people, and I've tried that before. I did that with Last Ronin, and we didn't have a ton of people for that, but everybody seemed to kind of enjoy that, where I was able to give my spontaneous thoughts as we went through it. And that was an example of a really great piece of work that was fun to consume in front of everybody. It's like, consume. It's like watching me eat a sandwich or something.
Yeah, but then people are illegally getting their hands on these comics because you're putting them on your YouTube video.
Yeah, but I'm not just reading it, so
Yeah.
you're having to like I'm giving my commentary, so you're. So yes, you could watch it for free, but you're going to be spending 5 hours listening to me ramble. Like
Yeah.
that's not the experience you want the first time looking at it. But anyway, so I'm just saying, I feel vindicated in doing that. I don't think I'm stealing money from anybody. If anything, I think that I'm encouraging people to go out and buy the book and then listen to my commentary afterwards. But I digress. Oh boy, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, some of what little dialogue I saw from those issues, Jason, also looked like it could have been AI generated.
Yeah.
And I wondered about it. And I'm like, is it just bad writing, or is that also AI generated?
Could have been just bad writing.
I don't think you can put it past people willing to do that and not even touch it up.
Well, you can't put that. I mean, you can't put that past anyone who uses AI art.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah.
But again, especially if they're not touching it up,
Right.
that means that like they clearly don't care. Oh, Austin says he means blurry in relation to tracing. Yeah, where that becomes a, I don't know if this is Austin's point, but that becomes more of a tell that it's AI generated. Is that, yeah, and I was going to say that earlier. You would have to remove sections and then piece it back together, because you're not getting the AI to make like a framework. You're getting the AI to make the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's tricky, folks. Senior Sticks, Captain Logan rambling. I think we'd all watch and listen to that. I mean, you know, our little base here. I appreciate you guys, but I don't think I'm taking very much. Let me know if you, in the comments, if you watched the last Ronin videos and you didn't bother buying the book because I read it out loud. There's no way they lost one sale over that.
Yeah. And your sentences aren't quite as long as AI, so.
John Kelling, I always feel like AI should be a tool only and never be implemented into a final product, like using an AI-generated image as a reference and not as a part of the work. That's a terrific point. I don't have a problem with using AI to like help you come up with an outline and that kind of thing. Like if it works.
I do that all the time.
Do you really?
Like with any idea I have, or not every idea I have, I put it into AI. But it does help me flesh it out, like more in my brain if I'm talking to someone about it. Like even if it's not, you can't even you can tell it doesn't even talk to you like a normal person.
You should give us a tutorial at some point on this show on how to responsibly use AI, Jason.
Yeah,
be great, because honestly, I don't use it for anything. It bothers me.
Sure.
And I'm interested in knowing that you're actually using it as a tool like that, because I didn't know that you were using it that much.
Yeah. No, I use it.
I might be a crappy father not paying enough attention to what my kid is doing.
I use it to kind of help me
know that.
with ideas and stuff, because I think I flesh them out more.
Okay.
Because it asks me questions about the thing, and I'm like, oh, these are questions that I should be asking myself.
Give me just a second. Can I ask you a question that could potentially put you in a negative light?
Sure.
Okay. Did you use that at all, and if so, how, with the project that you read us from last week?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did.
Talk to us about how you used that.
So...
Did the AI come up with any of those ideas?
No.
Okay.
It did not. It didn't say...
Or tell everybody real quick what we're talking about,
so
in case they weren't at that show.
Last week, on my segment, I did an outline for a animated Nintendo series that I came up with, set in the future. And basically, I had a really, really short outline for each episode that was like the base idea for it. Like, I had the story already before I even went to AI, but I had the base for each episode, and I had this Google Doc with like 2 sentences for each episode, and then I even like expanded on it as I was writing each outline to the AI, because I was thinking of more things because I was talking to someone about it. So I didn't even copy anything straight from the Google Doc. It was kind of more just like happening more in my mind. And then after I would give the AI each outline, it would ask me like, it would give me a list of like 3 or 4 points that's like, how does this happen? How do they get to this? And
Interesting.
how would this how
So
can
you
they do this?
used
And
it
then
as a brainstorming tool.
Yeah.
And so it's not so it's not creating again any of the ideas itself. It's not saying and then this should happen. It's saying, well, how do you get to this?
It never really once went, maybe you should do this.
Interesting.
And if it did, I went, oh, I have a better idea.
Mhm.
Or I used their idea as an inspiration.
Interesting. I'd love to know what the audience thinks of that.
And then I
hope you don't feel exposed.
no. And then I basically
But this is fascinating because we are talking about this, and I don't use AI at all.
And then I asked it to give me a list of all of the points I made in chronological order of the series, in outlines of the episode, and then I wrote it in my own words.
Yeah.
With all the points that I gave it. So
Interesting.
I think it can be used like that.
And it was all still yours.
It was all still mine. It just
Clearly.
kind of helped me, because, I mean,
Well, it was so well thought out. I mean, it's clear that you had a process.
yeah.
And if that's your process, I would honestly have a hard time arguing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Braden Atkinson says that's a really good idea. At first glance, it seems like it. It's just the precedent bothers me. Like, getting into a future where that gets sophisticated to the point where you can't tell if you're talking to a person or not. I don't like that.
Right. But I knew that I was not talking to a person.
Yeah. Yeah, right now it seems kind of harmless. But I'm thinking of that Netflix Terminator show, and it just bothers me.
That show's so good.
John Kelling, yeah, that's a fine use for AI because Jason is the one making the story. He's just using it to essentially lay it out.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible, and obviously, I'm not arguing your credibility, Jason. And if I was, I usually blame the parents anyway. But
I blame myself.
But give me 1 second. I sounded totally normal at the start of this. It would be possible that somebody that just told us all of that could be kind of white lying us, where like it's half truth, where like maybe there were some ideas that you got it to feed you, and you're just not going to tell us that.
Sure.
But the proof is in the pudding. The material was so creative and thoughtful that it's very unlikely an AI did it.
Yeah.
John Kelling, I always remind ChatGPT that it's not a real person, and it tends to agree. Okay, well, we did end up getting almost a full hour out of this topic. If you saw another topic we could handle real quick before the break, Jason. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and just go right to break, and we'll do your segment right after we get back.
Yeah, we might just do that.
You want to check real quick?
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of have one point that's not about AI, and we can get to that now, or we can do it. Any questions?
Is it short?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out.
This is from CG Anime Fan. Do you plan on doing a Space Ghost commentary stream in honor of Space Ghost's voice actor George Lowe, who recently passed away?
Yeah, that was on my list. I was going to try to bring that up later if we had some downtime. George Lowe was the voice of Space Ghost for Space Ghost Coast to Coast and for Cartoon Planet. He died, yesterday or the day before, at the age of 67. And that's a giant bummer. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. He was one of the great voices of my childhood, and we now have lost two of the big three. He passed away. C. Martin Crocker passed away a few years ago, who was the voice of Zorak, and we still have Andy Merrill left, who is Brack, and who does not get anything like enough voice work in the industry, and it's sad and pathetic and not fair, and I don't know why Hollywood doesn't like Andy Merrill, but they can go to hell. He's great.
He's great.
Anyway, I really want to do a blind commentary stream for that, and we have had some celebrity deaths recently that I really wanted to commemorate with a stream, and I've just been too busy and was not able to get something on a different night together. So I really wanted to do something with Tony Todd, and I still can. It's been a little while now. I still want to do something for Tony Todd, so I would maybe try to do that first. But the short answer is I hope to. I don't know what I would do because Coast to Coast isn't streaming anywhere anymore. It got pulled, which is a giant crying shame, especially because the last couple seasons are not available anywhere. And I do own the first three, but nobody would be able to watch it with me, so what's the point?
It's not like they're good. Like, it's not like those last seasons are good.
No, I know, but, just for the sake of completion. Yeah. But anyway, no, but they're trippy and weird. Anyway.
They're really weird.
There are some uploaded episodes of Cartoon Planet that we could do.
Yeah.
And that would probably be the way to go, especially because that was the show that I was more into growing up. Because I know Coast to Coast is the more popular one, and we could look at some of the funniest celebrity interviews and that kind of thing. But I started on a project years ago. I haven't told anybody about this, I don't think. Maybe I brought this up, I can't remember. But anyway, I started a project years ago where I was going to do a top 10, traditional scripted rewind top 10 on Coast to Coast. And I was watching through it and I was making notes, and I just never finished it. And so that's a shame that I never got that project done.
Yeah.
And I could do it now, but I'd be working with just the first three seasons.
Yeah.
I would have to come up with some kind of bootleg way to watch the rest of it. And maybe there wouldn't be anything from those last two anyway that would show up on that list. But me with the top 10s, it wasn't just about listing out the episodes. It was also usually kind of an overview of what the show was.
As well, yeah, okay.
So anyway,
that's a good way to do top 10s, I think.
I want to do that. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Well, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. We'll be back here. Don't go anywhere. I know that sounds like I'm ending the show. We'll be back for the second half of the Captain Logan Show here in about 4 minutes. So go make just the fastest sandwich of your life and come right back and get ready for Jason's Next Generation segment. Once again, he's left me in the dark. I have no idea what he's going to talk about tonight. I'm excited to find out. And I didn't, because I wanted it to be a secret.
Although I did tell you last week what I was going to do, but you might have forgotten.
I have. So when you bring it up, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Guys, leave us some questions so we can have a fun Q&A segment in the second half. We don't have a big crowd here, but if you're here, give us something fun to talk about, either as a super chat or a pre-written question, and you'll probably get your question read, because we don't have a ton of them right now. And right at the end of the show, we'll do a fun little thing that is totally impromptu that Jason and I are planning, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the Captain Logan show. And Jason, as always, in our new but now traditional fashion, is going to take the Captain Logan show and turn it into the Jason show.
Jason show.
I don't
Jason
know. Are you
show.
Jason Logan? Or are you like
J show?
I've been trying to decide how we're gonna credit you in the Superhero Rewind movie, because right now, like, my placeholders, I've just got like Jason, Sarah, like what's the, like should we pretend like your last name is Logan?
No,
Because it gets kind of weird if
I don't really-
everyone has a different last name.
and
but
like
me.
I don't really want to use. Well, it's not your last name though. It's just like your.
I know, but it looks like a last name, like Captain
Captain
Logan. But what am I, Captain Logan Williamson?
No.
Well, there you go.
J-Lo.
Hot soup. Anyway, sorry, I'm spending too long setting up your segment. Jason, what would, for your next generation segment, are you going to regale us with this evening?
So for my next generation segment, we're gonna do your favorite thing.
Oh boy. Oh no, it's a you guys, it's trivia.
Yep, we're doing trivia. We're not just doing trivia.
I'm scared.
We're doing my favorite kind of trivia
Oh,
that I haven't
no.
done on this show yet.
Oh no.
We're gonna do some Nintendo trivia.
You guys get ready for a solid goose egg here. It's going to be 0 out of... He always has a weird count for these two. What is it, 13?
No, so this time, I always change up the rules every time, too, to keep you on your toes. So this time we have 10 questions.
Oh.
And they are all different categories. But
they're all Nintendo.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to, before each question, I'm going to give you the category, and you can either... take the category and I ask you the question, or you can substitute it for one of the 3 substitution questions.
What? This is complicated.
Are
so wait, you wrote
3...
30 questions?
No, I wrote 13 and a final question. So
Okay. So they don't
3.
all have substitution questions.
So you may substitute it if you don't think you can do that. Category.
Oh, I understand.
You can
Sorry.
substitute it for one of 3, but you only have 3.
I can only do it 3 times. So it's like sort of a lifeline. Okay.
And so
I'm following
the 3
you now. Sorry.
categories for the substitutions are deals with other companies, Game & Watch, and Super Smash Brothers. So you can pick from one of those instead of one of the
Okay, 2
categories.
of those are things I know nothing about.
Okay.
Why would I replace it with Game & Watch is one of the things I was hoping wouldn't come up.
Are you ready?
I'm no.
And then at the end, there's a final
ready.
question.
Okay. I have blocked my my chat.
Okay.
I didn't block the chat like I'm blocking you guys. I mean I've made it so I can't look at the chat.
Yeah.
So
he cannot. I'm going to
feel,
confirm.
So you guys feel free to play at home. I can't see what you write, and I will look at the chat again when we finish. What I'm sure will look like spontaneous human combustion. All right, go ahead.
Combustible head. So your first category is Mario Kart.
This category, just for this trivia, is people that enjoy watching Captain Logan get eviscerated. Okay.
So your first category is Mario Kart. So do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. What is the...
That's the thing I know something about.
In Mario Kart DS,
yeah.
What is the character you can only play as if you are using DS Download Play?
Oh, Toad.
No.
Toad? I know that there's is it... It's not Toad.
It's not Toad. Because you can play as that in normal gameplay. This character you only play as if you do Download Play.
Okay, but I thought it was a character you could also pull from the roster, but I thought you were just stuck with that.
Yeah, you're stuck with that character, but it's a different character.
Isn't it like a bomb or something?
No. It's not a bomb.
Okay. I don't know what that's from.
Knuckles Chaotix?
That's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, wow, this is not my category.
5 people got it.
I don't remember. What is it?
That is Shy Guy.
Oh, that's right. It's been too long since I did that with the download play thing. That is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Mario Karts.
Yeah.
But I mean, I always play it by myself.
Sure.
Been too long since I remember since I've done that.
Your next category.
I actually was playing that not too long ago because I was playing the what do you call it? The mission mode, which is really fun.
The mission mode is really fun, and I wish they would bring it back.
They need to bring that back.
Your next category is Animal Crossing.
What? Anything about that? Okay. Why are you doing this to me? I don't want to do this. Bring somebody else in here to answer these questions. Look, Captain doesn't know about anything. I'll replace that, I guess.
Okay. Do you want deals with other companies, Game & Watch?
Yeah, I'll do the first one.
Okay. What non-Nintendo console was Hotel Mario and 2 Zelda games, The Faces of Evil and The Wand of Gamelon, released on in North America?
The Philips CDI.
Yes.
Got one.
So now you do not have to answer the Animal Crossing question.
You can tell me what it is?
Yeah.
Do I get an extra point if I do know it?
No.
How do the damn rules work?
No, you don't.
Oh, well then I don't even care. Move
Okay.
on. I don't even want to know what your stupid
Your
Animal
next
Crossing.
category is Mario.
Well, that's pretty broad and generic. Yes, Jason, I'll take the Mario question.
What is the only video game where Waluigi is the main antagonist?
Watch this be like some Paper Mario game I never played, or Waluigi.
I think you've played this.
Oh, really? Okay.
At least you tried it out.
Yeah, I probably didn't get far enough to realize that Waluigi was the main antagonist. Is it... I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be like a Luigi's Mansion or something.
Dance got it.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is Dance Revolution Mario Mix.
Oh, that's right. I did know that at one time. Yeah. Forgot that had a story.
It doesn't really, but it does, but kind of. Senior Stick says bring in Brandon Grimm.
Oh, Brandon wouldn't know any of that.
Your next category
Brandon's played video games like fewer than the number of fingers on my hands, and most of it was on the channel.
Yeah. Your
that's
next
not entirely
category is Metroid.
Sure, give me the Metroid question. Whatever. Why are you doing this? You might as well just pulled out a chainsaw and lobbed off my head. All right.
Name both Metroid games released on the Nintendo DS.
The DS. Metroid Prime Pinball is one of them. Is the other one Hunters, or is that
It is.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
I got
it.
one. All right.
Okay, your next
Uh-oh.
your next category is Zelda.
God, yeah, give me the Zelda question.
Okay.
Whatever.
Koji Kondo was inspired by the song April to write the dungeon theme for the original Legend of Zelda.
I couldn't have told you that, but I've heard that.
This
yeah.
song is by what band?
Oh God, I don't remember that. It's my head is just not in video games right now.
Well, now it needs to be in music.
Well, yeah, no, I know, but you know, I've gotten that from video game videos. I don't know.
That is Deep Purple.
Oh, that's a Deep Purple song?
Yes.
Okay, I should have known that.
This one is...
I've seen them live.
Your next category is the Wii.
That's a perfectly fair question. I'll take the Wii question.
What?
Uh-oh.
What was the prototype controller for the Wii called? It was a big orange circle with a star button in the middle.
I've never heard that. Really?
Yep.
And it's not just the Wii mode?
Nope.
Because everybody called them that, but they're not actually called that.
Yeah, and the prototype was not a Wii mode yet.
Is it just called the button?
No, no. It was called Cheddar Cheese.
I didn't know that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's just obscure factoid nonsense. Why would you think I would know that?
I think I told you at some point.
I didn't remember that.
Okay, your next category is Pokemon.
You ever been trolled by your own child in front of a live audience? Because I have.
Your next category is Pokemon.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What was the you
So
might know
rather
this.
that than friggin' Game & Watch. Go ahead.
What was the first Pokemon game released on a home console in North America?
On a home console?
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I'm gonna guess Pokemon Stadium on the 64.
It is.
Sweet.
It is
All right. Well, you know what? I think I'm actually tracking about as well as I usually do with the superhero questions.
Yeah, I think you are.
It's pretty funny.
Your next category is the history of Nintendo.
Sure, I'll take that super broad trap sounding kind of category. Go ahead.
What was the first controller Nintendo ever made?
Was it just the Game & Watch handheld, or that's not considered a controller?
No.
Controller. So they made something pre-NES?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I've heard that, but I can't think of it. Just yeah, I don't know.
So, back when, even before they made video games, when they were a toy company, they made the light gun rifle for the Magnavox Odyssey.
I knew that. That's right. I couldn't have told you it was the Odyssey.
Yeah. Which is the first video game system ever.
I'm saying I don't think I would have come up with the name of that right
yeah,
here, but yeah, okay.
I would have given it to you, probably.
These are very interesting factoids, but a lot of them are not things that stick in my cranium like they do yours. Yeah,
sure. Random facts just stay in there. I don't know why. Your next category is Rob.
Sure, why not? No, give me the Smash Brothers question.
Okay. What is the name of the main story in Super Smash Bros. Brawl?
The main story?
Yeah.
There's a name?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I know that?
It's pretty popular.
The name of the story?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The main story mode. It's...
Oh, the mode?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
It's the Subspace Emissary.
Oh, I could have told you that. Okay.
And...
Scene.
Your last category before the final question is Yoshi.
Sure, go ahead.
Argonaut, the company that helped Nintendo make the Super FX chip, which was used in games like Star Fox, pitched a Yoshi 3D platformer, but Nintendo rejected the idea, ending the relationship between Argonaut and Nintendo. Argonaut later made a game based off of the Yoshi idea for the PlayStation. What was this game called?
Was that Crash?
No.
Was it... Because it's going to be a 3D platformer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is Croc, Legend of the Gobos.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And your final question is, name a first-party Wii U game that has not yet been ported to the Switch.
Oh, that's a cool question. Wish more of them were like this. AI. I don't mean to die on your questions. Really interesting facts, just not things I would know a lot of them. First party. Because a lot of it has been now. Yeah, so not Wii U, but Wii?
Wii U.
Oh, you did say Wii U. Apologies. Have we gotten it for Woolly World?
We have not.
I didn't think so.
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go. There's
There you go.
one.
There you
Yeah.
go.
They haven't ported that Star Fox game because nobody liked that.
Yeah.
So like that would have counted.
0, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's probably a few. Hey, we need to get that 3D Kirby game they put out because I've heard nothing but amazing things about that.
I've wanted to get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that on my
That should
wish
be
list
real
for
high on
years.
your
but-
wish list. Yeah. Because that's been out what 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how eviscerated am I getting in the comments here? Or it's like Cap's a dingbat. Okay, what was the Game & Watch question?
Oh, the Game & Watch question was, what was the first Game & Watch?
I used to know that. I just don't even remember what a lot of those are called now. It's just really simple, like
Yeah.
basic sport kind of sounding things, right? Like,
Yeah.
what was it?
It was Ball.
Ball. That's what it was. Oh man.
Yeah, the guy in the middle.
They
that just went
reinvented the ball.
Ball.
Okay, Jason, do you see any interesting questions from the chat? And folks, throw us some questions so we can do a Q&A segment.
Well, you got 4 of 11, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually not that far away from my normal track record with these.
And people are saying that those questions were brutal. So.
Oh, yeah. No, they were like getting kicked in the teeth over and over again. So, you know, if you enjoy that. No, I'm just messing with you. It was fun to hear them. Certainly. I always love your trivia segments. But I heard that category and I went, oh, God. I'm in trouble. Ooh, boy. All right. Anything anybody's interested in?
Not yet.
So earlier, somebody was talking about Gene Hackman, who, of course, sadly passed away last week. And the world has been in a tizzy about the weirdness of his death. And I kind of hate that the odd circumstances and the sad situation concerning his death is overshadowing everything so much. The man was 95 years old. It's really sad that he couldn't have just passed in peace and we could all celebrate his long storied career. Gene Hackman, was a fascinating actor and a guy who did a lot of really interesting, especially kind of gruff roles, and would be in just about anything. He had this philosophy about doing the same kind of caliber work no matter what you're in, and would admit to taking roles in subpar scripts, like with not super quality stories or dialogue writing or anything, because he liked the idea of a character, and because he wanted to challenge himself in seeing just how much more he could elevate it over the material. So it wasn't always even about making a great film as it was about challenging himself to do as good of a performance as he could, which I think is a really cool, like fascinating approach.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just said it, like, I hate that his death is being overshadowed by, or that his career at the moment anyway is being kind of overshadowed by the weirdness of his death. But I do want to talk about that for a second because it's very strange, and it's still not known for sure what the cause of death was. And they even finally felt the need to look into the possibility of foul play because he and his wife and one of their dogs were found dead altogether, and had been dead for at least 9 days apparently. And apparently just nobody checked up on them. And his kids had been checking up on him because it was known that he had a kind of decline in health in the last like 6 months or so, I think. But they ruled out a lot of stuff that people were thinking it might have been, like carbon monoxide poisoning and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, his wife's body was especially found in bad shape and was said to be mummified. And so it's hard to say, like, if she was dead longer than he was. They were found in different parts of the house. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff I don't usually talk about on the channel, but I was looking into it, and it was just, like, sad and fascinating. And I won't go on about it for too long, but it will be really interesting to find out, if we ever find out, what exactly happened.
Yeah.
I doubt very seriously if they were actually killed, but I mean, what do I know? But I mean, the first thought I had was, and I don't mean to be crass about it, but like, who murders a 95-year-old man? It's very strange. And I think it's entirely plausible. So the big thing that people were feeling weird about was, like, how did the dog also die? But what a big detail that most articles overlooked, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, and you saw any articles that go against this, But I read in one article that the dog was found in a kennel, like a locked kennel.
Oh.
And if they both died in separate parts of the house, and the dog just couldn't be fed, then that explains why the dog died.
Right.
And so that's not.
Were there other dogs?
Yeah, there were two others, but they weren't in kennels.
But were they in bad shape?
I don't
Do we
know.
know?
But one of them was found outside, one of them was found inside.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. But the whole thing is really odd and unusual. John Kelling, I would be genuinely surprised if it was murder. It's just weird. Yeah, everything about it is really strange. But yeah, that was a really sad, unfortunate, bizarre thing that happened. And yeah, I'm talking about it too because it's weird. But I am really hoping that that's cleared up so that we can all move on from it and stop talking about how the man died, just talk about the man.
Yeah.
Which is why I led with talking about the man. Somebody asked me about Daredevil Born Again. I've not. So the first 2 episodes have dropped. I started it last night. I've not finished the first episode. I was hearing things about the way that opens, so I was curious to go ahead and at least watch the opening scene, which I did. And I'm not going to comment yet. I want to see the whole thing before I say anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might ask you afterwards, but...
Yeah, I'm not going to comment yet.
Yeah.
But we are going to do a how we felt about next Monday night on that, at least Austin and I. I will put feelers out and see if Robert wants to come in, see if John's watching it. And Jason hasn't seen the whole first season yet even, so I probably won't have you there.
Yeah.
Just because seeing it would spoil some things. So I don't know if I love the idea of you watching it out of sequence like that.
Yeah.
Dan's Den, it's not that he died, it's the circumstance of his death that weird people out. Well, yes, of course. And I'm not even saying that we shouldn't be talking about it. I'm talking about it. I'm just saying that it's nobody's fault. I'm just saying that I wish that the whole thing wasn't so weird, because it sucks that it just kind of sucks that that's what we're talking about, even though it's absolutely like fascinating. But especially at that age, I'm just saying it's sad. That was an aside that I guess I talked about too long. But I think it's sad that he wasn't able to just like die with peace and dignity, and that's the way he went.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. And like paparazzi was following him around last year, trying to find like any like shred of video to see just like the shape he was in. And so there's footage of him like walking around in front of a gas station and stuff. And I'm like, God, leave the man alone. Like,
Yeah.
What else are folks talking about in the comments there, Jason?
Hayden Spring says, I bought the Marvel vs. Capcom collection today on an impulse buy.
Yeah, well, you won't be disappointed in that. That thing's a lot of fun, and it's really neat to get to just sample all of that all in one place, jumping around like that. It's a little weird because the control schemes change. So sometimes your buttons aren't the same between games. So it's a little weird going back and forth like that. But it's a wonderful, lovingly put together collection, and it's right up there with the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection in being one of the best kind of classic like game preservation type collections.
Yeah.
I love that thing. My only regret is that I didn't wait to buy it in physical, and I hate that I've talked about this before, but I hate that so many of these retro games and collections, like retro remakes, will come out in digital 2 weeks before the physical. And so if you want to play it right away, you're being kind of penalized if you want the physical, because you have to wait 2 weeks. And I really wanted to stream it right away, so and my kids wanted to play it. So I went ahead and bought it right away, and if I find the physical real cheap, I'll probably get it at some point just to have it in my collection. But I've done that with a few things. Like I don't have Power Rangers Battle for the Grid in physical. And that was actually out for a very long time before it finally had a physical release. So for a long time, that was the only way you could play it. But I've done this with things that I knew would come out physical. Like I don't have Shredder's Revenge physical. I did buy the Cowabunga collection that way, but
Yes.
not Shredder's Revenge.
And
then Sonic Mania I bought like 3 different times.
Yes.
I've got that on 2 different platforms, and I have it physical on Switch. Anyway, what else are folks talking about?
We have a Patreon question from
What?
Slipmaker.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the chance to watch any of the Russo brothers directed episodes of Community?
I'm sorry, I haven't. I've never seen any of that show. I think I watched the pilot of that once, maybe. Yeah, and I liked it okay.
About? What even is that?
It is a comedy without a laugh track about a community college.
Okay.
About, I think, like the faculty at a community college, maybe, but I've only seen the pilot, and it's been forever. I remember thinking it was fine, but like not really my kind of thing. I am deeply picky when it comes to comedies. I can even find a thing funny and not keep watching it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Where I'm like, I mean, yeah, I laughed a couple times, but it's just not a thing I feel like being invested in, you know? Mm-hmm. Hey, I started watching a brand new show that has nothing to do with superheroes or anything. No. Would you quit it with your TVG references? Nobody knows what you're doing. Stop it. I'm gonna have to start either censoring that or capping it off at a certain quota. Okay, you get 1 per show. That's it.
Okay,
No.
I get 1 per show.
And you've already done like 4 this show, and people don't even realize it. You don't even realize it.
No.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I did like 1 before.
So anyway, I saw an ad a couple weeks ago at the movie theater. So this was literally the only thing I got out of Brave New World. For a new Hulu series that is 8 episodes and actually just ended on Tuesday. I've got 2 episodes left. I haven't seen the finale yet. And it got renewed, which is exciting, at least if it sticks to the landing. Because if it doesn't, it's going to be like Your Honor all over again, which is a show that I've never talked about, but I watched and thought was an interesting show that had a horrible last episode. And then I got halfway through season 2, and it was only 2 seasons. And I went, I'm good. And I never finished it. But anyway.
You were worried that the second season ending would be bad too.
I just got bored with it. That was a show that really shouldn't have kept going, apparently, but you wouldn't have known it. Anyway, whatever. That's a Bryan Cranston thing. But this show is called Paradise.
Does he die like 20 minutes into the show?
No. Anyway, but yeah, so Hulu, this is a show called Paradise, and I decided I had to watch it because it stars Sterling K. Brown, who is one of my favorite more contemporary actors, and it stars James Marsden as the president.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And it's great. And it is kind of a hokey show in its way, but it kind of knows it. And it's it's a little ridiculous, but it's like real serious in its way, but like doesn't take itself too seriously either. And it's I don't want to talk too much about it premise wise, because you got to watch the pilot. It's much better if you get the full premise from the pilot without knowing what exactly it is going in. But all I'll say is it is a murder mystery kind of not espionage thriller, but it's a conspiracy thriller, and it's a little losty, which is part of what I was excited about with it. Because, ever since Lost, I've been kind of waiting for that show that sort of does that, but, like, sticks the landing. And does the mystery box thing, but, like, actually knows where it's going, and the breadcrumbs actually lead places.
Yeah, actually have some sort of idea of any of the mysteries.
The show does a great job keeping you guessing. It's very whodunit. You think maybe you know, and then it turns out you don't know, and you'll have characters that are horrible, but not in the ways that you thought they were, and it's a pretty mature, explicit show. Sometimes I don't think it's necessarily warranted. I think it could have been a network show, but then I also don't know how, or don't know if it would have been allowed to go, as is kind of out of the box and off the beaten path as it does if it was a regular network show. So maybe it's for the best that it isn't. But yeah, Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden are awesome on screen together. It's got a pretty good supporting cast. And there's so much that I could talk about that's more interesting than what I'm saying right now. But I don't want to give anything away. I think people should watch it. And I might review it when I'm finished with the last couple of episodes. But I have been enjoying the crap out of that. And I'm excited for you to see it, Jason, because one thing that show does that's kind of interesting, and some people might think it's silly, I have warmed up to it. It's one of those shows that is very driven by its music.
Okay.
And it's not a super formulaic show, except, I don't know, do I want to give this away? I don't think this is giving too much away. Every episode so far, or at least most of them, I think maybe every episode I've seen so far, has ended with a, like, acoustic or lyrical style cover of, like, a classic 80s rock song.
Okay.
And it always is very thematically relevant to the episode. And I think it's really silly when shows do that much of the time. I've seen a lot of shows that will like open with that, but they do it every time. They're like doing a thing with it. I've warmed up to it.
Okay.
I think I like it now. But yes, Dan Zen, I mentioned that Paradise did get renewed. Is anybody else watching Paradise? That's a thing I wanted to bring up in case I don't end up reviewing it. Films by Color, of course, a really cool physical release comes out for Reader's Rewind right after I buy the digital. Yeah, I had that too. I didn't buy that either. Hi, DJ. It's good to see you, buddy. I thought about inviting DJ to this show, talking about AI art, and DJ, I'm sorry I didn't, but I didn't decide on this topic until like a couple of hours before we started broadcasting, and I just thought I wasn't giving you enough notice. So anyway, but I hope we can have DJ on for something. I keep saying that, we just haven't worked anything out yet, but miss you, DJ. Thanks for watching, buddy.
We have a question from Nicholas Bodo.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Gene Hackman would have been a great, more serious modern corporate tycoon Lex Luthor?
Oh yeah, he could have done
That is a lot of adjectives.
Yeah, he absolutely could have done both.
Mm-hmm.
Although again, he'd be not a traditional one though. He'd be a real like gruff boardroom Lex Luthor, you know. He'd be like a Lex Luthor by way of a Morgan Edge or something. Like he'd almost be better casting for a Morgan Edge.
You know who I think would be a great Lex Luthor? Thomas Ian Griffith.
Who's that?
He is what's his name? Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3 and Cobra Kai.
Ooh, I don't see it right away.
And
he also seems too gruff for me, but
I feel like
he doesn't seem corporate tycoon before he seems like drug lord.
I don't see drug lord, and also he plays a good corporate tycoon in Cobra Kai.
Is he a corporate guy in this?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been too long.
He's really good at playing rich, but he's also really good at playing crazy.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I feel like, and I also feel like he could be good bald.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sure.
He has a crazy smile.
What else are you seeing?
Goofster123. Have either of you seen the leaked concept art for The Avengers Doomsday?
Yes, and I want to say it gives me more hope for that project. There has been, let me say this first, we've had really neat concept art for movies that ended up just sucking eggs. So I want to throw that out first. But I am excited about the fact that they seem to be looking more at the actual source material than I thought they might. So they're looking at the like period Doctor Doom stuff from that, and it looks like more of Doomsday will actually be related to Secret Wars than I thought it would. So that's neat. My prediction is you'll have a Doctor Doom from another universe that will then kind of create Battleworld at the end of that, and then you'll have the segmented singular universe, just like you do in the comics, with all these different worlds that are like stylishly different from each other and feel like they're in different time periods and stuff, and that you won't be looking at Battleworld in that first movie. It's possible that you will be, but I don't think that's what they'll do. And I also think it being the Russos, that's likely because they'll use Battleworld sort of like they did the different time periods in Endgame, where we're jumping around to all of these different places in history and having all these different subplots. They'll do the same thing with Battleworld in this equivalent to Endgame. But a lot of those concept drawings looked exciting, and every time I see that stuff, I go, why is it that whoever's making these concept drawings has this very like painted comic booky style and seems to want these movies to look more stylistic and exciting and not so samey? And then I go, why can't we just do all of this in animation? You know, I'm back to that again.
But like getting animation.
Nicholas Bodo, it looks kind of cool, but we don't know if they will take advantage of it. Precisely. In fact, we can almost be sure they won't, at least to the anything like the fullest extent. But that's not fair. It's the Russos. Maybe they'll get close. Infinity War absolutely has a neat visual style. So.
Mm-hmm. I know you don't really like Endgame as much.
Not as much as Infinity War.
I don't know where you do you remember where you put that?
In my top 100? I can pull it up real quick. But yeah, it was maybe in the 40s or the 30s. Mm. Like, it wasn't super low.
I put it on my list. I think I put it on in the 30s.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to make a post about this. If you have not gotten, we don't have a lot of viewers right now, so I'll make sure to post about this again later in the post tab. It used to be the community tab. Now they've made it the generically boring posts tab. If you have not yet got in your top 50 favorite superhero movies, I'm going to extend the deadline to next Monday now, since I haven't been broadcasting all week, and it'll probably be a little while before we get to that. Austin said he's been getting quite a few entries for that, and so I wanted to give people more time, because it seems like people are still interested in wanting to get those in. So if you've not got that in yet, or if you want to modify yours, I'm going to give you a few more days. And I even told Austin about this, but I don't think he started putting that together yet. So, Austin, if you have, let me know. But I don't believe that he has. So we should be good. Anyway, I'll post about that again later, but the link is in, it's not too far down to the post tab. It should be just like 3 or 4, maybe even less late last week. But if you haven't heard about that, Austin and I just finished up, finally, our epic top 100 favorite superhero movies of all time set of streams, and we are, just like we did with favorite DC and Marvel characters, doing a community list, and so we're going to read down your favorites. And we've got enough entries that we're going to be able to make a top 100 out of yours. So you only have to put in 50, and you don't even have to put in as many as 50. If you only can come up with 23 that you love, fine. If you can only come up with 5 that you love, fine. Get them in there, because the ones that you really want to nominate to get as high as you can will get a higher point value the higher you put it on your list. Robert Wilde, you'll believe a man can make a list. Jason, let's do 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll get to our last most pointless possible segment at the end of this.
Okay, the John Kellen without fear.
I'm sorry. Before you read that, let me just prompt everybody for a second. For our segment for later, that's going to happen just here in a few minutes, throw in something, like any geeky property or character or anything that you wish you had cool merch of. That's all I'll say. Just something that you would like to buy, like a cool poster, an action figure, or a shirt or something. Put that in the comments, and I want as many of them as we can get with as small as our group is tonight. Go ahead.
the John Kelly, without fear.
Yeah.
Cap!
Hi.
It's the 40th anniversary of when John Williams began conducting and recording the score for the original Star Wars. Today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's an old viewer of ours that on an almost daily basis texts me, and I don't know what his sources are. I don't know how he gets this information all the time, but he on an almost, I say almost, at least weekly, constantly, Jason, sending me anniversaries of like everything. Just like, this came out 15 years ago. Today, this came out, like, I have this long list of these. He sends them to me
awesome.
all the time. Yeah,
That's really cool.
I told him he needs to make a shorts channel about them. Yesterday, I got one from him. This is Tanner. This is a guy, not a kid anymore, but Jason and I have actually been to this guy's house.
Yeah.
His parents invited us to go there, and his mother is a photographer.
Like 10 years ago.
And we got family portraits with them, yeah. But so he and I still talk. And,
Wow, really? That's
yeah,
crazy.
he messages me quite often. Tuesday, yesterday, it's the 25th anniversary of the PS2.
Yeah.
And then, we actually talked about some other things. Constantine, Tuesday of the week before, Constantine and Son of the Mask, both released 20 years ago.
At the same time?
Apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, released 5 years ago.
Yeah, I got that.
Kingsman: The Secret Service, 10 years ago.
Wow.
Superman TAS ended 25 years ago.
That's such a good show.
Better Call Saul premiered 10 years ago. The crap-ass Birds of Prey movie, my words, not his, released 5 years ago.
Ugh.
Star Trek Picard, 5 years ago.
Oh, man.
Star Trek Voyager, 30 years ago. We didn't know about that one.
Yeah, the only anniversaries I remind you about are all the TMBG ones.
The Elektra movie, 20 years ago. Yeah. Agent Carter, 10 years ago.
What the heck?
I know. Anyway, I love this guy. I really appreciate these. December 31st of last year, Disney officially acquired Marvel 15 years ago today.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, now you know all the anniversaries, so mark them on your calendar.
Okay, Jason, let's go ahead and do our last segment.
Yep.
We've done this once before, but tonight we're going to pick a different website. It's time once again for Alfred Let's Go Shopping.
Yeah.
And tonight we're going to do some shopping on Etsy. So this is Jason's idea. He said, let's go look for some stuff on it. Look, Jason, we can get the looks. Get the looks. Okay, so we're going to look up geeky stuff and see what homegrown merchandise is being made for said stuff. Now, I saw people throwing in anime stuff I know nothing about.
Yep.
And I don't think that would be as interesting for us to look up, because I won't have anything to say about any of that stuff.
Yeah. So, people have been talking about Sonic.
Oh, let's look up Sonic. Okay, so I'm sure I've done this before. Now, do we want to look for anything specific with Sonic the Hedgehog, or just look up Sonic?
Just start with Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog birthday invitation.
Shirt. Why is that the second thing that shows up in the
Birthday
search
shirt?
bar? That's weird. Okay, it's
Our-
verifying my device.
Our camera's not on here, but
No, it's not. It's not.
I thought it used to be on there. But
I hid it for another show.
Oh,
but
bye.
Now it's
Oh.
back.
oh hi.
Welcome everybody. Okay, so we got shirts and stuff.
Oh, there's the birthday shirts.
The birthday shirts. These are cool. They're too expensive. But I've looked at these. These like bar top things that you can.
Oh, you can mount
I
them
think
to the wall.
Connect the Switch to. The Switch has been a really great device for fan-made peripherals, of which I have a couple of now, because I've got my my custom arcade 1-up machine that does that, and I've got my modified arcade 1-up pinball that does that. So you'll find a lot of that kind of stuff on Etsy. These...
Join us to celebrate Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, we are just obsessed with birthdays,
And apparently only birthdays to Jackson. It's only... If it has a name...
That's the default.
The default is Jackson.
That's the
Why?
default, apparently. You'll see these... You'll see these things all over Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of them. Those lamps.
Oh.
And then... this looked amusing. Look at that. Where you can get a big mat that's just the
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Disc.
It's just a disc. It actually looks really neat.
I need that.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it specifically for that, but it'd be cool to get that for other things. You know, like there's Halo and Kingdom Hearts. That's a fun idea. That's a cool idea. And they're in different sizes. That is always kind of misleading initially because you go, oh, $53. That seems reasonable, but that's only 2 feet by 2 feet. Like to get it in the size you'd want it, you're paying at least $100.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe you don't have to have a 9-foot one.
Yes,
But, you know, like 3 by 3, that's still going to be $80
Mm-hmm.
before shipping.
And 75% off.
Well, they're just saying that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why Roadrunner's here, but there's Roadrunner.
He's also fast.
A lot
to
of
be
3D
fair.
printed stuff. So here's a pro tip about Etsy. Be really careful when you're looking at custom-made action figures and statues and things like that. Make sure that you know if you're buying an STL file or if you're buying the actual physical thing. Because you can, and it is nice that you can do this, you can buy files to 3D print yourself, or you can buy the actual physical thing, and sometimes you can only buy the files, and they won't actually ship you the real item.
Because they don't have a 3D printer themselves, they're just making the files.
No. Usually they do, but they it's too cost prohibitive.
Oh, Sonic felt masks. That's pretty.
Yeah,
Cute.
this is neat.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah, a lot of wall art on Etsy, a lot of 3D wall art. That's cool. There are legit companies, I say legit, but like that like license this, that actually license this stuff, that make things like this. But this is as good or better as any of those.
Those are a lot of Sonics. Like that's a lot of Sonics.
Yeah, well, it's just to make it look like he's going fast. See?
Yeah.
No, I think that's cool. I got too many tabs open here. What? Let's move on, shall we? Yeah, you'll also see some kind of, you know, adult or sort of uncouth things here and there. Okay, Jason, throw me another property.
Let's go for Superman.
Okay, let's see what cool Superman stuff we can find here.
Superman?
Okay, so that's a question. Just how much Cavill is going to show up here?
Oh, yeah.
Because you got those folks that are just obsessed with getting it. Again, I like Cavill, but you got people that is their Superman, man. This is a good looking kryptonite cluster. Wow,
Nice.
look at that.
You should get that.
I should get that. That's pretty cool. The kryptonite rock I've got's not as cool as that. It's usually on my desk. Where is it? I don't know.
I think someone picked it up.
I don't know what I did with it. I moved it.
Oh, maybe.
Is that a lighter? That's cool.
A Superman lighter. A Superman controller stand, but it says Super Dude. It's Super Dude.
Well, yeah, but it still says Superman at the bottom.
Yeah,
So, I
but
don't know,
the
it's weird.
title.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to avoid copyright, but they're
Yeah.
not at all.
No, they're not.
For a second,
that's
I
what
thought
it's
this was like just the Fortress of Solitude, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like these 3D printed things where they don't paint it and you can paint it yourself.
Yeah.
Because I do
I
some
think that's
painting.
kind of he has too big of a head, and also the controller is like in front of his head, so like.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that design. And then of course on Etsy, you can also just use it to sell pre-owned things. So there's a Smallville figure.
That was not custom made.
This is not bad. That looks like Alice Ross art. Kinda. What do you think of that?
That's pretty cool.
It's resin.
Yeah. You should get that and paint it.
Nah, you can't really paint resin.
You should
I don't think. Maybe you can. I've never done it
get
though.
colored resin and put it on top of it.
Yeah, and then there's like some CGC comics and
Ooh.
that kind of thing. How are we for time? We can probably do one more here. Wow, that is a very good likeness.
Yeah. Wow.
Very good likeness.
We got two.
Oh, real quick, this just reminds me of something. You'll see. I'm gonna look this up real quick. You'll see some really good, like, replica prop newspapers, and I have thought about buying some of these and doing a wall of them in the bunker, like from movies. So check this out. Prop newspaper.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so like here's one from Spider-Man. A lot of superhero ones will show up.
There was a Back to the Future 2 one. We just watched that today.
This is from Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
So I've thought about buying a bunch of these. I'm glad they're still here. Which one did you see?
Back to the Future 2.
Oh yeah, and then you get the matching ones.
Yeah, that's pretty.
We
cool.
actually just watched this movie today with Brandon.
Yeah.
He just came over out of the blue. He was
just
like,
randomly came over.
"Hey Cap, I got a couple hours. Can I come over?" And I was like, "Sure." Freddie's been watching Back to the Future.
Yeah.
He just watched the first one last week. Let's watch Back to the Future 2. And I was commenting about this. It's funny, we're looking at this just today, Jason. That it's such a hilarious, and I'm sure I talked about this when we did the commentaries all those years ago, but I think it's a hilarious contrivance to have something really important happen to the same person on the same day in an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Just so that you can change what it says on the newspaper. So like, it's one thing to have a photograph, and I mean, it's a conceit in the first place, right? But it's one thing to have somebody disappearing from a photograph and then they reappear, and then maybe they're wearing like a different shirt or something. But to have the same person, like, this is the front page of a newspaper.
Okay, and
on the exact same day that George McFly was originally murdered, now he's honored.
And
on
then
the exact
also-
same day
and then
McFly was
also,
committed,
look-
now he's commended.
And then also look, local author shot dead. Now local author receives award.
oh,
Nixon to seek 5th term. Now Reagan to seek 2nd term.
it's Reagan.
Reagan.
Did you say Reagan?
No, Reagan.
President
Ronald Reagan.
Brian Regan.
Yeah, no, not Brian.
You
Regan.
said Regan. I'll play back the tape, folks.
I might have said it, but
That's what he said. I'm just giving you crap. But yeah, I really want to buy some of these papers. Okay, give me one, and of course, you know, we could
we
look
got
up
$2
specific
from
ones.
Robert Riley.
The 89 ones, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find the any of the Batman 89 ones here. I might have to look it up a different way, but I have seen these. Here's one.
Oh, that's Batman Begins.
That's Begins, yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Anyway, and we could go down a rabbit hole here too with 89 stuff, because this is all I do now. I will try to have another 89 commentary this coming week, this coming Sunday.
We got a $2 super chat, Dad,
Sorry, now I'm just looking at this stuff. Yes.
from Robert Wild.
Oh, hi,
He
Robert.
asks, can you buy Batman's atomic pile?
I don't think you can, but let's look it up. Let's look it up. What happens if you look up the atomic pile? Well, this is... Holy crap, that's a custom one. Yeah, so somebody has 3D printed this, and it looks like it probably goes pretty well with the McFarlane stuff, because these computer pieces in the front look a lot like the McFarlane ones, but those are also custom made. It's almost like he's trying to do what McFarlane did, but just make it look a lot nicer. That's awesome, actually. Now, I mean, it's not $535 cool, but
Right.
it's cool. Yeah, a lot of the custom playsets are like that. Okay, I saw this recently. It's wonderful. So here's a custom figure. This is Let's Get Nuts Bruce Wayne with his Let's Get Nuts action. He's holding the fire poker.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
fantastic.
pretty cool.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Again, it's not $119 cool, but it's pretty cool. Okay, anything else we should look up here, Jason? This is a fun segment.
Robert Wild wants you to actually search up Roadrunner.
Okay. I'm being trolled by Robert again.
Yeah, I think you are.
Hey Robert, real quick while I have you, are you gonna watch Daredevil, and do you wanna pop in next week? Okay, so we're getting stuff that's both from Looney Tunes and not Looney Tunes, and it's funny because there's multiple Roadrunner brand things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the actual Looney Tunes character, and then I'm forgetting what. There's like a couple of companies that do Roadrunner stuff that actually are allowed to use that character. It looks like this is a bootleg DVD because it's really hard to get your hands on those cartoons now on disc. It kind of sucks. Okay, I mean, are you glad we did this? Hey, look at this thing. That's not right. I thought it was going to be like Roadrunner on this road, but it doesn't look like that it is. So that's not exciting.
It was Cars.
Thanks for wasting our time here, Robert. All right. Well, on that note, oh, now you guys can see my stats and everything. I think we're going to call it a night. We're at 2 hours. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with us tonight on the Captain Logan Show. We'll be with you again next Wednesday for another show. Jason and I had a really fun time discussing, as depressing as it is, AI art with you at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed your segment, even though it was a lot like being cut up and fed to everyone watching the show. That's what it was like. But I enjoyed it anyway. Robert says there's a real Roadrunner that's been hanging out at his place. See, so it's like, it's personal to him. He can relate.
Robert says,
to
I
that
prefer
search.
to think Brandon just periodically shows up randomly in Cap's house unannounced.
Yeah.
I think he has done that.
It is like he's a sitcom character.
He has done that.
Like, it's like we live in a sitcom. The front of our house looks like an 80s sitcom.
Yeah. Our house in the middle of our street looks like an 80s sitcom.
To the point where Jason and I have kicked around writing a sitcom.
We have a pitch. We have a pitch.
I don't know if it's a good pitch, but we have a pitch.
It's not.
We might want to come up with something a little bit more regular and straightforward
Cheap?
than that. I don't know. Cheap. Yeah. Yeah, that does sound a little expensive. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Good night.
Once again, Austin and I will be back tomorrow night with a request, with some select episodes of Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes, and then Friday night we're doing a kind of obscure rewind on an animated Scooby-Doo movie about the Blue Falcon. So look forward to, and we got to do them all, okay?
That's a superhero movie?
It is. Well, yeah, Blue Falcon is a Hanna-Barbera superhero, and
Is it?
a crossover thing.
What is
yeah.
that?
I don't know anything about that character.
I don't know anything about that. I've never heard of that.
I think that existed around the same time as Space Ghost, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we're doing that. I've never seen it. And then Austin and I, if that doesn't go too late, because it probably won't, we're talking about doing an additional discussion, superhero movie discussion that night on the weirdest developments in the history of superhero movies.
Okay.
So look forward to all of that. We'll see you again real soon. I was
Is
Captain
the
Logan.
Flash going to be talked about?
Well, I bet you money. I bet you money that's in there. Thanks for watching, everybody. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
Have fun, guys. Goodbye.
I wanna take